Okay, guys, I was on my phone. But what a better introduction to get your attention with talking about the gas in bloating blues and really how to troubleshoot your gut on a plant based diet. So I know this has been a recurring discussion point with many of my patients. So let's dive in. But real quick, my name is Dr. Laurie Marbas. I'm a board certified family and lifestyle medicine physician. I know, with a goofy sense of humor. But I've been plant based myself for almost 13 years and have seen thousands of patients across the country, literally because I'm licensed in every single state and DC. So I've seen a plant based patient in every single state. So I feel pretty good and qualified to answer some of the questions and help you understand some of the problems you might find on a plant based diet and how to tweak them and get back on the road to thriving. So let's dive right in to the information I want to share with you guys today. Okay, so first of all, we understand that when you switch to a plant based diet, it really is many people are switching because they're looking for better health and a more sustainable lifestyle. But sometimes you might find yourself struggling with, like, let's say, bloating or gas or other digestive discomforts. You're absolutely not alone, right? It's a pretty common thing. These issues often arise with the sudden increase in fiber rich foods, and it's really a hallmark of the plant based eating. But there's good news. There's definitely some know how and a little simple tweaking and adjustments that can absolutely help you thrive. I will tell you, I had a friend of mine who was a dental assistant, and she's like, I tried this plant based diet for 6 months, but this issue of literally having gaseous expulsions that weren't smelling so good is just too much. And she really struggled, and we worked with her and she finally got to be okay. But anyway, just thought it was interesting. In close proximity with patients, she was really struggling. So trust me, you're not alone when this happens, but it does get better. So why does fiber even cause these digestive troubles, right? So remember, fiber is the key component of plant based diets. It's found in your fruits, in vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. Now, while it's essential for your gut health, fiber can also challenge an unprepared digestive system. So here's why: there's going to be three reasons. Number one is fermentation in the gut, right? So you have soluble fiber found in foods like your oats and your beans is fermented by gut bacteria. And then that process produces beneficial compounds, but it can also create gas as a byproduct. Next is a sudden increase. So if your previous diet was low in fiber, a rapid spike can really overwhelm your gut, leading to the discomfort as your body struggles to adapt. And number three is complex sugars. Some plant based foods, like the beans and the lentils, contain oligosaccharides. These are complex sugars that your body can't digest without some help with very specific gut bacteria. So we're going to talk about next is building a balanced microbiome. So to digest fiber and complex carbohydrates efficiently, your gut really needs a few beneficial bacteria such as bifidobacteria and the lactobacilli. So if your gut lacks those bacteria, you may find or may experience bloating and gas. So the good news is that fiber in itself acts as what we call a prebiotic, right? So these feed microbes and then encourage their growth. And over time, those bacteria will flourish and your body becomes better equipped to handle fiber. So here's a few practical strategies to reduce your digestive discomfort, right? So rather than giving up on the plant-based diet, because it's so beneficial in so many ways, you can take a few steps to help your digestive system adjust and reduce discomfort. Number one is start slow. So increase your fiber gradually, about 5 grams per week, so your gut can adapt to the changes, and then that will prevent the overwhelming your digestive system and gives beneficial bacteria time to grow. Two is soak and cook beans properly. So soaking beans 12 to 24 hours and cooking them in fresh water helps reduce the oligosaccharide content. You can also add a strip of kombu, it's a type of seaweed, or a pinch of baking soda while cooking, which can further neutralize those gas producing compounds. Also, the kombu adds a little bit of iodine, which is important for your thyroid health. Number three is cook your veggies. So light steaming, roasting or sauteing veggies, really it helps break down those fibers and then making them easier to digest. Now, granted, raw veggies are very nutrient rich, but cooking them initially or even just slightly steaming before you consume them can really help your gut adjust. Number 4 is chew thoroughly. Remember, digestion starts in the mouth. So chewing your food thoroughly breaks it down mechanically and then mixes it with saliva, which contains enzymes that begin the digestion. So that reduces the workload on your stomach and your intestines. So you're like, how much is enough? I would say until it's like liquefied. You can even practice with, like, let's say 20 times, right? Chewing a food before you swallow and see what happens. But it just being mindful of it can start that process of being more thoroughly chewing. Sometimes you're in a hurry and you're just gulping food down. That could be increasing the issue. Number 5 is incorporate probiotics. So adding fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, especially soy miso, or some plant-based yogurt to your diet can help a lot. So because the probiotics introduce helpful bacteria, which can improve digestion and reduce gas production. Now, you can also potentially get some probiotic supplements with the strains we talked about, the lactobacillus and the bifidobacterium. They could be helpful, but if you can get more plant-based foods that have those, that's even better. Number 6 is experiment with low FODMAP foods. Now, if gas and bloating persist, try incorporating some what we call low FODMAP foods like zucchini, carrots, quinoa, and bananas, because those are less likely to ferment in your gut, making them a little easier to digest. And just adding those in as you're progressing through. Number 7 is stay hydrated. So fiber absorbs water to keep your digestion moving. So without enough hydration, fiber can lead to constipation, exacerbating bloating. So aim to drink at least 8 cups of water per day. What I always say is, 8 to 10 ounces per hour the first 10 hours you're awake, and that will be great. So if you're still struggling despite your best efforts, there's a few other things you could do. One is reevaluate your fiber load, right? So just cut back temporarily on the high fiber foods. Focus on more digestible options like white rice, cooked zucchini, peeled fruits, and then slowly reintroduce those fiber-rich foods once symptoms improve. 2 is check for imbalances, right? So is your gas much more pungent and abundant than usual? It could indicate an overgrowth of the less beneficial bacteria. So maybe eating some lighter meals, including the fermented foods, could restore balance. And if you may notice that certain foods will cause that. So like, let's say that I go out to eat and there's a delicious vegan but not whole food plant-based dessert that I partake in with family, because typically we'll order one and eat some. I will notice sometimes my gut gets very excited about that and makes some stinky toots. Just sharing, maybe it's TMI, but that's just the truth. So something goes on there with the sugar. So it makes me actually steer clear of it. I'm not a huge fan of sweets anyway, but it's even more so then. You can also use some digestive aids. So enzymes like Beano can really help break down the complex carbohydrates, and that reduces the gas and the bloating. Keep a food journal, right? So track your meals and symptoms to identify specific foods that trigger discomfort, and that can help you adjust your diet also more effectively. And really, it comes to a point, if you have persistent symptoms that you might have an underlying issue like irritable bowel syndrome, I think then at this point you should probably speak to a healthcare professional to help you. So remember, transitioning to plant-based diet it's a process. It requires patience and a bit of experimentation. But by understanding how fiber kind of affects your gut and then implementing the strategies like the soaking the beans, the cooking the vegetables, and incorporating probiotics, you can definitely reduce your discomfort and let your gut adapt over time. And remember, your microbiome will adjust and you'll enjoy the many benefits of plant-based eating. So one other suggestion that just came to mind is that when you're introducing beans, especially if you've not eaten a lot of beans in the past, what you may want to do is start with lentils. And these are more digestible than some of those ones you have to soak over a period of time. And by the way, canned beans work just as they're fine. Those are already cooked. But at the same time, you might want to shoot for the lentils because they're easier to digest and you don't have to soak them and you can just cook them. The thing with the cooking and soaking is what I found is that people struggle more, let's say, with like black beans because you have to soak them the longest versus lentils. So there's a spectrum of soaking times that you can find in guides. the longer the soaking times, the more dense the fiber, more fibrous foods. You might want to hold on those and just start with a small amount of lentils. And I'm talking maybe a quarter cup at a time, even an eighth of a cup at a time, and see how you do. Then the next time, maybe go to a quarter cup if you were an eighth of a cup. Then maybe, a third of a cup, then maybe half a cup, which is a full serving of beans. And then you can move on to the next bean. Luckily, when I was growing up, beans were a staple because they were cheap. And I ate beans most days of the week. So I haven't had any issues when I transitioned to a plant based diet because we already ate a lot of fiber. So, but those beans can be a killer for a lot of people, but they're so good for you. Remember, beans are the one food that's associated with longevity around the world. So, you got to get those beans in there. They're so good for you. Yeah, and they're cheap. And with food prices going up, we all understand that, every little dollar counts. So check that out. And by the way, please subscribe if you're new to this channel. We'd so enjoy having you in our community. And we actually have the Healing Kitchen available if you're looking for more help. It's a community that's amazing. We have weekly live discussions. We do 2 recipes. I answer medical questions. We do monthly workshops. I do an in-depth ebook with those. And we just actually released our first published book. It's called Plant-Based 101. It's the ultimate guide to mastering the plant-based diet. You can pre-order it. It comes out on January 1st. And the link is also below. We kind of keep it as cheap as possible. It's like under $5. It is super helpful. It's got recipes, lots of beautiful pictures. We talk about kind of at a high level all the different issues that you might need to consider. Like, what do you do with kids, older parents? What if you're active? What do you do with social issues? What labs should you be getting? What certain nutrients are of concern on a plant-based diet and why and what to do? All sorts of stuff and how to get started, what it looks like, what it is exactly. So yeah, it's a great one. The paperback version will be coming. We're dealing with a few little formatting issues. But again, check it out. The link is below, and we'd be so thankful if you could share this video with anyone that might be having some gas issues, and potentially the book as well, or the Healing Kitchen. Again, all those links are below. We so appreciate being here. Thank you as always. Sending you joy, gratitude, love, and healing, and wish you all the best. And I will be back tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.